Welcome to Leadership Rewired. Our mission is to disrupt traditional leadership development by fostering a community of resilient, growth-minded individuals who drive their own destinies and lead effectively through change without sacrificing their well-being. Two former colleagues and current friends, Allison Allen and Dean Martin, invite you to join them for an honest conversation that brings a personal perspective to the issues of leadership.
Welcome to Leadership Rewired. Today we're diving into a bit of a tricky topic that maybe is deeply personal to some of the people who are listening. Finding a job after a layoff. We know that the job market's challenging. Navigating it can feel overwhelming right now. Even as you listen, you may think, oh, what on earth are these two going to possibly talk about that would be helpful to me? We do have some actionable strategies that we'd like to share with you to help you regain some control of your job search and also speak a little bit to the personal impact it might be having on you and in your life, and even just thinking about your worth as somebody who can work and as somebody who wants to get back into the job market.
So whether you've been laid off recently or you've been looking for a job for a while, the current job market is unique. At least it is for me in my career. On the surface, the government and everybody are telling us that everything looks good, that the low employment is there. There's so many job openings. But the reality is for some of us, it feels like it just feels different and it doesn't feel the same. There's these extensive hiring processes, the economic uncertainty that just seems to be everywhere, politics. There feels like this natural increased competition which makes jobs just really, really hard to find. But we actually fundamentally believe that if you change your frame around this, and it takes work, it takes practice, it's not something that you can just do. That leveraging your self-leadership skills and capabilities, you can actually take control of this. It's almost looking at a job as if it's a job. And what does that mean? Every day you're getting up and you're doing the work and you're doing what's necessary to get out there and get yourself known. So let's start to set the stage, right? We've already talked about the job market and long processes. Companies are super cautious right now. Like they are just trying not to overhire. They're trying to make sure they can retain their best people. They're trying to figure out how do they, make themselves attractive behind everything that's happened. I don't think that the Great Resignation helped us at all. I think a lot of folks thought it was like the best thing, but actually I think it's altered expectations for job seekers as well as companies. And I think it's really super important for us as individuals to sort of step back and take a real look at the landscape and then figure out what our strategy is.
The first thing I would want to to start sharing, and I'd love your point of view on this, Allison, is around people thinking about what sort of job am I really wanting? So being realistic in their expectations and setting some clear goals for themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think my first kind of conundrum is, surely you're just applying for a job same as the one that you've always had before. I was, a technical support engineer. I need another technical support engineering role. What do you think what's like a leadership rewired angle there? If you're a leader and that's your job, and we're saying here, okay, let's be realistic about what are you looking for? Should people still be going for the same kind of job they had? Or should they be reviewing whether this is a chance to pivot or to apply for something different?
I think this is this self-assessment work, right? This is the sort of like looking at your current situation and making a decision about what you think is the right next move for you. I don't think it's like my place or even your place to sort of say, oh, go jump into this, because we don't know people's current situation, right? And not knowing that it makes it difficult. Going to something if you feel like that's a strategy that's going to get you a job quickly and that's going to make you feel more secure or get you the money that you need or whatever the case may be, go for it. Yeah. But if it's an opportunity for you to expand or to go for a higher position or to pivot for any reason, then take that route. And that's going to require work, right? That's going to require looking at skill sets, looking at what you're capable of, marrying a lot of your experience to the role. Like you, like me, we decided to go out on our own. Like I left Expedia in November. I took some time off. I had a moment, I think it was like a month, where I was like, apply for everything. Like, what am I doing? And then I was like, wait, why did you take a break if you're just going to come back into the crazy and be crazy? Right. And, I had former CEOs and executives that I worked with who really literally just started calling me going, hey, I see, you're not there anymore. So what's happening? What are you doing? And it just was a click for me. Like, this is a time to try to do my own thing. And I've been wanting to do that for a year. I'm in a position where I can do that. Right. So I think you have to look at your current situation and what makes sense for you and your situation, your family, whatever the case may be. And whatever the strategy is, go for what you know, go for something completely different and upskill or pivot or go out on your own, whatever the answers are. And those aren't even all the three answers. There could be more. Decide what you're going to do and then put a strategy behind it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I really love the fact that you're talking about quite a realistic assessment of what's most important for me right now. It may well be, and it probably always is, financially. I need an income and I need to earn. If you're not in that position, great. You afforded a bit more time and a privilege to be able to brainstorm and consider other ways. But most folks are like, hey, I need to earn. So what's the quickest way that I can get back onto benefits and get back earning and back into the job market? And they're worried about, what is a break or a gap in my resume going to look like? If it, is that also going to be seen as an indictment on my career? If somebody looks and says, oh, it took you X number of months between these two jobs, all these things for people to try and reconcile. So I hear you saying, we're certainly not advocating one particular path. And to reaffirm for people, what's most important for you right now. And if that's just getting something quick and fast and whatever it is, then do that. There may well be some multiple paths you can take. Maybe you're actually applying for 3 things. You're thinking about, how do I get something quick and fast now? Same job, same kind of role. Let's not get greedy about benefits or salary. I'll take anything. Another line may be, oh, this is a chance for me to pivot and go, I'm still going to also be applying for a different kind of position that's a bit more of a stretch for me. Or the third might be, what would it look like if I did some work on my own? I started on my own. Do I have the chops? Do I have the expertise or the network or even the drive and the financial backing to explore that? So those are 3 you cited, and I know there may be, 1,000 more there. Both you and I, Allison, are coaches or executive coaches, and I'm sure you use this question. But a question that I love, that I apply to myself as well, is when we find ourselves or when we find our client in a position that is less than desirable, or they've been, they're a leader that's been subjected to a layoff, that one of the things we can ask is, what will this allow you to do? What will this allow you to do differently? And if asked too early, you just want to slap someone and say, I'm not looking for opportunities and possibilities and the silver lining here. So used carefully, but this is also something I want us to be mindful of as we're talking here today, that this, sometimes we may, I don't think anybody would have chosen a layoff. Otherwise they would have resigned before they were laid off.
100%.
But you find yourself in a position, you're like, okay, what else might this allow me to do? And that kind of language of allowing, it's permissions us. It gives us a little bit more of a, okay, I've always wanted to do a little bit more of this. Oh, this will allow me to do it. And if I was still working, I might not have pursued that avenue. So just to sort of add that a little bit to the mindset, I see you nodding there, to our mindset of, okay, I need to get a job. What do I do now? This is terrible. I'm frightened, or I'm exhausted, or I'm despondent. And also, sneaky little benefit, I may actually be able to do something I've always dreamt of.
Dean, I love that. I mean, just even hearing that question, hearing you say that, I even felt expanded. And I think there's something freeing in that question, right?
Yeah.
That starts to bring back something that where you feel like you've lost control, and actually you are in control. And I love that question. I think it's perfect. A perfect ad.
Yeah.
I do want to just hit really quickly, and not to take away the air in the room, because that's such a powerful question. You know, you're going to get that recruiter that's going to ask about the gap, you know, and you're going to be scratching your head because you're going, yeah, it's a gap, which, like, you know, the situation. So, you know, like, you know, and it's just like that will tell you something about the recruiter, and something about the culture. And so use that information, explain it. Yeah.
What will it tell us?
Well, I think self-aware companies, self-aware recruiters, self-aware leaders, and I'm saying self-aware are people who are literally making a choice to show up a certain way, would be able to step back and say, I see a gap, but that's probably because they got laid off. Like, let's keep it moving. Like, there's no reason to open up a wound or to remind you of something that you already know. And so I think there's something interesting about any recruiter or business leader or a manager or whatever that would ask you, you know, can you give me some background on the gap? It's like, in this market today, come on. And I know that question's popping up in interviews. And so just be prepared to answer it. And I was laid off in March. I've been looking for a job. I've done X, Y, and Z since then. And move on from the question. Don't let it do anything to you other than tell you a lot about the recruiter and the company. That's it.
Yeah. I really value hearing that. I know you have tons of talent acquisition experience, having led large teams. Another thing I would add, before even you have an interview with somebody who might ask you this, there may be a concern of, well, they're going to look at my resume and reject me without me even being able to give an explanation. And that's where I would say, sure, that's a worry. Of course, that's a worry. And there's nothing you can do about it. So let it go. If there's going to be an organization out there where somewhere in talent acquisition, they think it's okay to discard resumes on those grounds, good. You don't want to work there.
No,
let it go.
Don't.
Of course. And I'm not being, pedantic here. I know if you're looking for a position, you're stressed out of your mind. Like, oh, what are the things that are going to get in the way? This may get in the way. And it is outside of your control. Let it go. Focus on where you can have an influence, where you can actually drive.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
In addition to sort of having the goals, right, and having, a focus, I think it's really important to have a plan. And I know that sounds like for some of us, especially people like me, when I hear the word plan, I just think, But it's a really good idea to have a strategic plan. And I think, there's no better time to start research on industries. You have time to do that, right? Remember, looking for a job is doing a job. So you're going to get up, you're going to get dressed, you're going to focus on it. So I would suggest, really focusing on researching targets, like the industries that you're interested in. If you were in media and tech, and you see media and tech kind of doing all the same thing, why don't you look into, industries like healthcare and government and construction? And I know they don't sound, in some cases, I've worked in those places, so I think all of these companies are fascinating and interesting, and they all have their positives. But, if you're a person who's always been in tech and you can't imagine coming outside of tech, I would say this is a chance to sort of stretch yourself, because those industries and others are actually hiring. They feel different. Yes. They work differently. In some cases, you might think of them as being traditional, but it's an opportunity for you to learn new skills. So don't lock off in an industry that isn't doing as much as you would like. Try to expand yourself into other industries, and you may find that you're actually more comfortable there and that you're learning a lot. Yeah. The other thing I would offer is there used to be a world where you have one resume, and that one resume could go out to multiple jobs and 5,000 people would call you. We are now living in a world where AI is amongst us, right? And so, recruiters have to get through hundreds, sometimes thousands of resumes. They are looking for specific skills that you have on your resume, specific things that you're talking about. And so you want to think about how you start to build resumes for a role. So if you are a software engineer and you're also a person who's an architect, or you are a program manager, but you're also a facilitator, you may want to think about building resumes that are specific to those jobs, and that you're using some of that same language and examples to match what is replicated in that job. If you just send out your general resume to a job, it is less likely to be seen, because recruiters are leveraging technology to go through so many resumes. Now, I want to be super, super clear on this. I am not suggesting that you use AI to write your resumes. I'm not suggesting that AI is replacing resume writing. But I do think AI is awesome for research. It's also for data. It's awesome for rewording. Plagiarism is never something that should happen. You should never lie on your resume, because background checks are real. But you do want to make sure that you're customizing it and you're making sure that your resume speaks to the actual skills that are in the job. Because again, recruiters are becoming more and more sophisticated in their use of AI, and AI helps them to do that. And then the only other thing I would say is leverage your network. Whatever path you choose to take, go out to your network. I know sometimes we feel like, I think there's shame or there's embarrassment, especially if it was a layoff, or there's this sort of thing that we do to ourselves where we carry that load of that what the organization said to us, and we don't feel that we can reach out to a past coworker or someone we don't even know but happens to be part of our network. Reach out to your network. Put yourself out there. I think there's this debate going on right now on LinkedIn about, do you put the open to work sign on your profile or not? There's some people like, don't do it. And there's some people like, do it. I think you got to do what, again, makes sense for you. But either way, be transparent. Look, I'm in the middle of something, or I'm transitioning, or just got laid off. Do you know of anything? People are genuinely willing to help these days. I've seen so much compassion on LinkedIn and people sharing, reposting jobs. I myself, every time something comes into my feed that's about a list of jobs, I'm always sort of sharing it for reach. And so just reach out to your network. And then as much as you possibly can, reach out, make sure that you're participating in industry events, and that you are getting yourself out there physically and talking about yourself. And I know for some folks, nobody really wants to talk about themselves. Like, are you kidding? Read my resume. But it's like, get yourself out there. And again, you have to do the work. I don't know if there's anything you'd add to that, Dean.
No, I love the thing that you said about, make it kind of work for you. If you want to do that open to work sign on LinkedIn, do it. If that's not your vibe and it feels cringy, then don't. Our mission of this podcast is about us creating people who are, adding to a community of leaders so that they can be resilient, so they can be growth minded. So what does that look like for you? If that's going to feel like a stigma to you, then don't put it up. If you can get to a place of like, actually, There is no shame. Speak to anybody you know. They've probably been laid off at some point. And if they haven't already, it's probably in their future at some point. Like it's part of working life. Then maybe you can move past that stigma and say, okay, I'm actually going to use this. This is a tool that it's one thing. That on its own is not going to get me a job. That on its own is not going to turn people away from me. It's what's the whole package? What's that whole strategy look like? That there are deliberate and cohesive steps I'm taking that will push me forward and will increase my chances. So, I mean, 100%. That's just one example, but the resume on its own is not the silver bullet. The networking events on their own is not going to be the deal breaker, but use whatever you can. Stay in your area of influence. Stay in what you can affect. And the minute you start stressing about, oh, but what about this? And I can't change that. And I don't have this. That's, have a stressy moment for 5 minutes and then get back to work, really. In a time when people are experiencing, they're in a layoff, they're looking for a position. This is also a great time to, having evaluated what sort of role you're wanting or what your next step is to also say, what will this allow me to do in terms of upskilling? And there are two ways of looking at this. I always really encourage myself and others to go, where are you already strong? What differentiates you in terms of your job? If you're a good facilitator, how can you become even better? If you're a great, whatever program manager, what's another certification or accreditation you can get that will make you exceptional? Because you are going to get hired and you're going to be able to do great work because of where you're good, not because of the two things that you're not so good at. So the first strategy is like, can you upskill in an area where you're actually already powerful and strong? Push yourself to that exceptional place. And then the second strategy is, where are there some gaps that you might say, actually, I should get a bit better at this kind of customer facing part, or this part of sales, or this part of whatever. But that's not gonna, God forbid, you don't want a job in an area that requires you to be working purely in using all the skills you're not that good at. So I like to think about it as make your weaknesses or make your gaps irrelevant. Just get up to a level of, okay, I'm never going to be the best, programmer ever, but I need some of it in my job. Let me just get to a level where that's never going to be like a performance issue, but that's not going to differentiate me. So upskilling, certification, some kind of study, even if you're friggin' watching YouTube, it might be something that you may not be able to add to your resume, but it's going to add to your sense of, I can come into this and feel quite comfortable that if somebody says, oh, by the way, we also need you to be competent in Google Suite, you can go, yep, I'm fine. And not worry, oh crap, they're going to find out that I don't know. I've only ever worked in Excel or whatever the silly example is. What are your thoughts around, upskilling, or are there other ways in which a different way we can rewire our way of thinking about this?
I thought you hit it. There have never been so many free resources. Yeah. You mentioned it, YouTube. You can almost YouTube anything right now. And, podcasts. Google offers like so many certifications. I think even Meta offers certification, and possibly even Amazon. There are so many free resources that, to the point that you can't use, that you can't afford it because you can't.
Right.
And so going to the library, if you don't have access to computers, right? That you want to do, there are so many resources where you can extend yourself. But you hit the nail on the head. It's no better time to self-assess, figure out where your gaps are, and get some experience in that. And so even on your resume, if you haven't actually done it, you can mention the fact that you've taken the time to get these certifications. So that's what the gap is, someone coming back to the gap question. What have you been doing during the gap? Oh, I've been getting certified. I'm certified in this, and I'm certified in this, and I'm certified in this. And spent the time and I have the experience now. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Enhancing skills is like super important.
You know, you were talking about the strategy and that finding a new job is like a new job. So the upskilling part, see that as a part of your new job.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still always pushing out there. You're still always applying. You're still always looking, networking, doing those other things. Part of it will then be upskilling. But the danger may also be, okay, great. I need some time and I'm now going to just like, for 2 months, completely learn a new thing. And in that time, have abandoned my job search. So put that as an element, incorporate upskilling or certifications as an element of your new job, which is finding a job. Whatever 100%. It is, 20% of your time, 50% of your time. But, you're still pushing your job search along in a number of ways.
100%. We've been talking about this, and I can't say it enough. Finding the job is the job. Finding the job is the job, and everything that comes with that, you need to do, right? And just like when we're working, we get tired and we take days off and go walk in the park or kick the dog or whatever you do for fun. Whatever that is, you can still do that. But finding the job is the job when you're looking for a job. You can't rest on what you used to do. You have to do more. And, that's the thing. And I think the thing that's going to be tough is resilience and persistence. You gotta be resilient. We talked about this in our intro. It's like, resiliency is important. The job search process, it's long, it's arduous. Some of us applied for hundreds of jobs and we've either been ghosted or we just didn't get it. You need to just think about is my approach and even applying working? Could I be more specific? Could I be more selective? Peanut butter approaches don't work anymore, right? You want to, and I know this sounds just like something a coach would say, but okay, you went through the process, you interviewed, you got rejected. What's the learning opportunity there? Don't look at the rejection as a rejection, but what's the learning moment? What could have gone better? What could you have done differently? Are the people just assholes? Whatever the case may be, what's the learning moment? Because maybe you don't want to interview with assholes. So it's I think there's something about embracing rejection, not as a damning, and I know it's going to feel like, ouch, I thought I had that. Or, I went through all that process and that feels bad. Ask them for feedback. If they're rejecting you, tell them to be specific, help you understand where things went in a different direction. So embrace the rejection as a learning moment and then get back out there. Take a couple of minutes off, go shopping, do whatever you need to do to make you feel better and then get back to it. And for everything I can just say in my body, do not take ghosting personally. Recruiters, I'm not excusing them because I've led recruiting functions. I've always found ghosting to just be completely not acceptable, but don't take ghosting personally. Recruiters have a lot on their plate. They're trying to manage a bunch of different things. They're not always working with the best of technology. Sometimes it's somebody else's job to do something else. So it may not be that the recruiter ghosted you. It could be something else happened. And so just don't take it personally. If they ghosted you, keep it moving. Every no, and again, I know this sounds like another coachy thing, but every no gets you closer to a yes. And hopefully a yes with a company that you can be at for a long time. It's going to offer you compensation, career development, opportunities internally, more, professional development. Every no gets you closer to a yes. And so let's just put in the work. The only other thing I would offer is there's so many jobs out there on LinkedIn. Some of them are ghosts. They're just what we call in recruiting evergreen roles that are just sitting there collecting resumes and not necessarily a real job. It's a real job, but basically it's just collecting resumes. And some of them, I don't understand why this is even happening, but some of them are just scams to get information, and collect information about even LinkedIn, quite frankly.
Right.
So you have to start like reading these job descriptions. Don't just look at the title and then all of a sudden assume, let me apply. Like read through it. There's something, some of the recent sort of ghost recs are these ones that feel very canned at the top. They don't talk very much about the company. They don't even talk very much about the work. They don't talk specifically about anything. They're just like, usually, here's the job, here's the skills, blah, blah, blah. And again, because of desperation, we're not taking that moment to be very discerning. I'm going to encourage you to be discerning, because read the job, make sure it's legitimate, make sure the company is legit, go to the company's website and see if the job is posted on their website. If it is, then you can say, okay, this feels, and there are cases where companies don't post in both places, but do the research and make sure it's a real job before if you know somebody who works there, ask them if they're willing to reach out to confirm. Because there's some ghost jobs that are just pains and you're waiting to hear, when in fact it's just about collecting resumes. And there are some scams that are happening. Scams are going everywhere.
Yeah. No, that's helpful. Thanks for sharing that. This, what's the learning moment piece that you were talking about a little bit earlier? It's leading me to think about, again, the mission of why you and I are doing this, and the two concepts of resilience and being growth minded are, top of mind for me. That with a growth minded mindset, that actually allows us to be resilient in moments like this, because it's this belief of, I may not have a job now, but it's not going to be like this forever. And I can still apply myself. I can still make progress. I can still gain something from a rejection or even a ghosting or a call with a recruiter. All of these things, I'm still being productive. That is not the measure of my worth, is not getting a job offer. It's me doing this process, that I'm doing it. I'm doing it well. So my encouragement to people who are sitting right now going, oh, geez, this is hard. I've been doing it for a month. I've been doing it for 10 months and still nothing, is, to acknowledge that it can be soul destroying and a real, a blow to our sense of self and our worth, that you're still waiting and looking for something, but, stick at it. And, Allison, I think you may have come across this idea of an explanatory style, or our thinking explanatory styles, which is really a helpful model to do this, what have I learned in the process kind of thing. It originates from an American psychologist. He's still alive today, Martin Seligman. I'm a big fan. He's done work around learned helplessness and all sort of like well-being and positive psychology. But the one model that he's introduced that I find helpful, that I would like to share with us here, is around explanatory styles. So when something happens, i.e. layoff or ghosted or didn't get a call back, there are three words that begin with the letter P that are helpful for us to do a quick check through in our mind. So the first one is around permanence, which is to think to ourselves, I might be falling into a thinking trap, because permanence is actually, is this going to be like this forever, or is this just now? And it's like a sliding scale for me to check for myself. Am I just throwing my hands up in the air going, I'll never get a job? But rather on the permanence, how permanent is this? Oh, it's just this month. Oh, it's just this week. So to do an accurate assessment of that helps us to fall out of that place of helplessness of I can't do anything. The second is pervasiveness, which is like, how enduring is this? Is this forever, or is this just now? And again, a sliding scale. So you may well have been searching for a long time, but you're not going to be searching for a job for the rest of your life. It is impossible. So assess for yourself, how am I feeling about this right now? Because if my sense of pervasiveness is that I'll never get a job, it's been like this forever, that drops us into a state of helplessness of nothing I do will help. But rather to go, actually, sure, it's been tough, but it's just been a month, or it's just been a couple of weeks, or it's just been 6. Hang in there, that pervasiveness, it's not enduring. It will not go on forever. This too shall pass. And then the third P is personalization. So to what am I almost crediting with the reason why this thing has happened? To personalize it would be, it's because of me. It's because my resume is bad and I'm a poor performer and I'm worthless and I'm not working hard enough. Or to push it to the other side. Oh, it's them. It's the job market. It's those incompetent talent acquisition folk. It's this industry. It's that company. And neither of those places may necessarily be accurate or helpful for us to sit in that place. So to actually go, what part, again, on that sliding scale in terms of personalization, how much of this is me? What can I do? Back to strategy, upskilling, industry events, working, looking on LinkedIn. And how much of it may well be, that was a shitty company and that's why they ghosted me, or this is why, it was a scam or whatever. But for us to be agile and aware of how we are sort of giving an account to ourselves as to why we're in this place. Be flexible in that. That's what I'm learning. That as I feel downhearted, I go, actually, how permanent is this? Oh, it won't be forever. Okay. How pervasive is this? Oh, I've actually got other good things going on in my life. It's not everything. It's now. How, personalization. Is it me? Is it them? Oh, a little bit of a combination of both. What can I do? But keep that flexibility going. Otherwise, we can feel terribly stagnant. And I have been there, and I know you have too, where it is heartbreaking and we just grind to a halt. But rather challenge our thinking. That's how we're resilient. That's how we're growth minded. I haven't got anything yet, but not yet. What can I do? So those are the 3 Ps of Martin Seligman.
Oh my God.
I hope that's helpful for people to just, be able to give an accurate assessment for themselves in each moment where they sort of on those scales.
Every time I'm on a podcast with you, or every time I'm even just in your presence, I always learn something. And those 3 Ps, let's just drop the mic right there. It's a perfect way to close this out, because it kind of just wrapped up a lot of what we have been talking about and what we've been saying. And in essence, made it super transparent of how, in essence, it gave people back control. And I think that that's really what we want people to have, is control and their ability to sort of control what's happening to them. I love that. Oh my God. I'm processing it. That's why I'm like stumbling in my words right now. So, in conclusion, navigating today's job market requires more than just sending out applications, folks. And it requires reframing how we go after the roles or the next steps or the pivots that we want, right? So set some goals for yourself, do the research, look at your skills, look at where you are, leverage your network, talk to people, maintain resilience, leverage the 3 Ps that Dean just talked about. You can control this. And I know in some cases it feels like you're not, but actually you can. Self-leadership and leaning on your ability to be proactive and adaptable is what's going to get you through a challenging market and help you land exactly where you want to be.
Beautiful. Thank you, Allison. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone who may benefit from it. Share it with other leaders you know. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights and strategies that might help you to lead with grit and to grow with purpose. As we close here, Allison, what's one personal and honest truth about navigating the job market after a layoff?
I would say, after a layoff, I didn't expect you to have that piece. I think I would just say two things. One, personal and honest truth, it's not you, it's the market. It's not you, it's the market. So you've got to just figure out how to look for a job in this market. Don't add to what has already been said to you about in a specific layoff, which is a specific reason for a specific organization. That is not you. That isn't something that is about you, right? So you're now gone through this experience and you now need to do all the things we talked about in this podcast. But just remember, it's not you, it's the market. So the market is requiring you to do something different. So you need to meet the market where it is and try different strategies to go after a job. And the only other thing I would say is this looking for a job is the job and it's going to be hard. But that's any job. Anytime you step into a new job, a new challenge, a new period in your life, going into it, there are things that you don't know. So therefore you have to learn. And once you learn it, it's a skill you now have. So that's what I would say. What about you, Dean?
Beautiful.
Personal, honest truth.
Thank you. A personal and honest truth is that at a time like this, you're not expected to go it alone. So whilst it's your job and you have primary responsibility, sole responsibility really, to find that new job and to employ this strategy, get people around you very intentionally who can support you with encouragement, with love, with a listening ear, with good advice, with thinking support, whether it's a therapist or a coach or your partner or your mother. There's no, you don't get a medal here for silently suffering and doing this work. You're a leader. You're a leader. So this is even a time now where you can be leading by pulling people in around you and saying, this is where I need your support. This is how I'd like you to check in with me each week. Can I show you this? Can you give me feedback on that? Bring people along with you. You'll be able to develop and, nurture your own leadership skills, even in a time that that may at times feel very desperate. There's also great hope in this moment. What will it allow you to do? So just keep moving, hang on to what you know to be true about yourself, your strengths. And, big love, big support from us here because, I look forward to, I hope I'll even hear some people who, are experiencing, joblessness now and who in a couple of weeks, months say, yep, guess what? It's happened. I found this role or I started my own business. So we'd love to hear from you.
Let us know because we want to know. But we're here. We got you.